Hello students of St. Joseph English Medium School to another class of English. We'll start today the poem Tiger in the Zoo. It's a 10th part of our class. So particularly going to the title, the tiger in a zoo itself is quite simple heading which of the poem which gives us the idea that a tiger is in the zoo. So you can imagine when you go in the zoo you see the tiger. Now moving to the paragraph which is initially given about the poem, we'll just scan through it. This poem contrasts a tiger in a zoo with a tiger in the natural habitat, right? With two places you can see a tiger. It cannot be in the city or in the urban areas, but or the rural areas, the area which they are dangerous animals, dangerous. A tiger is a cat family, very dangerous to humans and other livestock which are very we can say difficult for us to keep away. They will become prey. So that is why we can say, okay, the place of this tiger can be in the zoo or in the wild. So we'll see the poem moves from the zoo to the jungle. Two places, the poet imagines it. One time he sees when the the tiger is in the zoo, and at the time he sees that his actions and his what do you call it, his actions and other things which he performs, his life in the what do you call it, the jungle. So here the two places he compares and contrasts, and therefore and say which stanzas speak about the tiger and the zoo. So here the stanza wise we go through, you'll come to know that the tiger is imagined to be or shown to us by the writer Leslie Norris, that he is in the zoo and his actions there and his reactions over there, and at the same time when he is in the wild or in the jungle at that time what he is. So you will, as we go through the stanza, definitely come to know where the poet is visualizing us. It is in the zoo and when it is in the jungle. So we'll read through the poem first. He stalks in his vivid stripes the few steps of his cage, on pads of velvet quiet, in his quiet rage. He should be lurking in shadow, sliding through long grass, near the water hole where a plump deer pass. He should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge, baring his white fangs, his claws, terrorizing the village. But he is locked in the concrete cell, his strength behind bars, stalking the length of his cage, ignoring visitors. He hears the last voice at night, the patrolling cars, and stares with the brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. So this way the poem, reading itself, makes you aware when it is in the zoo and when it is in the jungle or the wild. So we will see stanza wise the meaning of the poem. He stalks his in his vivid stripes the few steps of his cage. In the wild there's open place and open space for it. Tiger's territory we call it. It has that whole territory within its ambit. It can move about freely, but in a cage he can just stalk 4 or 5 steps and then roam about in that cage. You must have seen in the zoo. On pads of velvet quiet, as you know, the pad which is there, on the legs, the feet, they are very soft from inside. This quiet rage, and in his quiet rage means rage is violent anger. His rage is anger. Obviously, from his natural habitat, he is taken and brought to this cage, confined to it. He doesn't have the freedom to move. So it's quite obvious that he will be angry, and that violent anger will be burning in him. He should be lurking in the shadow. Lurking means lying hidden in order to attack. Lurking, you must have seen the tiger when it wants to attack, very softly and smoothly, and without giving any sign of its movement towards the prey. It tries to catch it. Sliding through long grass near the waterhole is, the main target area of the tiger is near the waterhole, where all the animals come to drink water. That time when they are trying to come to drink water, the tiger makes them, the animals of prey, his target at that time and that place. Where plump deer pass, and particularly deer is a very good food for tigers. They hunt it and have a lavish dinner from it. So here we can see the first paragraph, we saw it was in the cage and it was angry that it was not allowed to move out of the confines of the cage. And in the second, the poet takes us into the wild, where in its natural habitat, how it stalks its prey and tries to get his food for himself. He should be snarling, move to the third paragraph, he should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge. Snarling, jungle's edge, where the edge of the jungle, there are small villages, where small communities live. He will snarl at that place, showing its presence, snarl at the houses and say that I am here at the jungle's edge, baring his white fangs, his claws. His claws are like fangs. Fangs are the nails, curved nails are claws, and his fangs are long, sharp teeth. Fangs. So, terrorizing the village. As soon as he, gives a snarl, a huge roar, at that time, the villagers are alerted. Yes, the tiger has come, and they get terrorized. Terrorized means get terrifically afraid. Why? Because the tiger is a animal of the wild, and it can attack the village people, or even the livestock in the form of cows, buffaloes, and other milch animals, or that in the village. So again, moving to the fourth paragraph. But he's locked in the concrete cell, again in the cell. He's locked there. His strength behind bars. What the strength he was having to show to the village, or to to stalk the prey in the open jungle near the water holes, and get the prey in the form of deer and other animals. That from back is again in the concrete cell. His strength behind the bars, stalking the length of his cage. This length of this cage is stalking. He cannot be natural mover over them, ignoring visitors. And people like we, go to see the tiger. Oh, the tiger in the zoo. Wow, so nice. And we try to, feel that the magnanimity or the beauty of this big cat. But here the tiger says that no, I'm ignoring. He ignores. He doesn't see that visitors are coming. I should give some grin or any other type of response to them. He hears the last voice at night. Last voice. The patrolling cars again. And the patrolling cars are there. He stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. stars. Only you can stare at the stars up in from the cage, and the patrolling cars which are there moving in the zoo. With that, he cannot do anything else. So with this explanation of the poem is complete over here, we will go through some important figures of speech over here of this poem. Moving to the third line, very important figure of speech is transferred epithet. We have seen velvet quiet. A quiet is not a noun. What is transferred epithet? Transferred epithet is a wrong adjective, right? Epithet means adjective. An adjective qualifies a noun. A quiet is not a noun. And yet the poet uses this particular word to describe quiet. And therefore it's wrongly placed. The epithet is wrongly placed over here, and that is why the figure of speech is transferred epithet that we already studied in the 9th standard. The next figure of speech will be at the end of the second stanza, where plump deer pass. Alliteration it is. The consonant sound of in plump and pass, P, P, sound of the consonant is repeated, and therefore it is alliteration. Then moving further, there are no figures of speech in the third. Fourth, also in the fourth stanza, his strength behind bars, the second line of the stanza 4, his strength behind bars. Got it? That is also alliteration. You can see behind B and bars B. So both B consonant sounds, B, behind bars, are alliteration, right? Same consonant sounds. In the moving to the last two lines, and stares with brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. That again is a repetition. The words repeating are brilliant, brilliant. The two words are repeating in the two lines, and therefore the figure of speech is repetition, right? So with this figures of speech and the explanation of the poem, we conclude that poem over here, and therefore you will have to write this poem's textual exercise in your fair book. See you in the next class. Till then, goodbye.